Not worried about it.
Somebody in the last stream said like, "Oh, I'm surprised nobody's moved
What?
the camera before."
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
but move the camera?
I'm like, I don't know. I kind of like, Tom having the YouTube channel
Uh.
because it pays us money.
All right, we are live. And yeah, it took me a second here. We had issues today. We were trying to play with a few things. We're trying to get a few things working. It was not going as well as I had thought. And but the studio's upgraded. That's what the title is for this. I actually published a site-to-site video. So on WireGuard, I know people will be probably excited about that because that's been... There's some confusion. Turns out it was me. It wasn't. I was hating it at first, and then I realized how to make it work. So that video is the right way to do it. There is a mistake in a video, and I have a little card that pops up just to talk about kind of a mistake. It's an overlapping network problem, but that's in that other video, and I'll talk about that in the comments on there. Welcome to episode 214, Vlog Thursday. So let's see. What do we have here? Catching up on the comments. They did release the hotfix for the 3100 and I believe the 2100. So let me check because my 2100 popped up with the same thing. Let me refresh the page so I can... Oh, so did this. So that's interesting. I guess the hotfix applies to everything. Because here's a 5100 and look at the hotfix. Who wants to apply hotfixes live on the channel? I do. Do it. Gonna hotfix it live. So yes, this is out. So I guess the first thing we'll talk about is the fact that the hotfix is available. So we'll hit confirm. It's gonna take down this firewall, which means I won't be able to see the chat, which is running on this system. So once the firewall goes down, I'll switch over. I don't know how this is gonna work. Well, I don't know. It won't break this. This is on a separate system than this. This is a lab system that I'm running right now. So when the chat stops, I know that it's on the other one. Matter of fact, I can probably, as soon as that gets a little further, I'll just unplug it. So, woohoo. What did I break? I have no sound. You have no sound. I seem to have sound. I see audio. I'm assuming there's sound. Anyone else have sound issues? Trial by fire. Ship it. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. System rebooting. All right. This is going to cause the live stream. It shouldn't cause the live stream to have an issue. This will disrupt me because I just had to unplug the firewall. But I have another way to get to it besides this little wire right here. This is the same firewall I just used for the other video where I did the site-to-site video for the system as well. So I go back over to here. I'm all discombobulated today. Grayson, thank you for the donation. Greatly appreciated. I passed my first of 3 courses of Cisco CCNA, Introduction to Networking, now Intro to Routers Access Points. I have written an article about OSPF. Awesome. Open shortest path first to your career in cybersecurity. So, congratulations on passing your test, and thank you again for the donation. Awesome. Turn it off and see what breaks. That's just not fun because I know what breaks. Do you guys read the forum posts? I do go in the forums roughly every 12 to 24 hours. And I reply to a whole lot of them at once. So you don't get instant forum responses. You get forum responses within 12 to 24 hours usually. I at least one time a day I go in there and power through all the questions. It's usually in the morning. Matter of fact, if you looked at when most of my responses are, they're between 5 a.m. and 6:30 a.m. That's my forum response block of time. Weird, no one even viewed it. Well, when did you post it and what was it? So is it over 24 hours old is the next question. If you just posted it, no one viewed it, that's... How do I get up so early? I don't know how not to get up early. I wake up every morning between 4 and 5, randomly. I don't even have an alarm. I'm broken. Kyle over here says, what time do I go to bed? Randomly between 10 o'clock and 1 a.m. So, yeah, I just don't sleep a lot. It's variable, quite a bit variable. So, how would you go from I need to pay the bills and need a constant income to work for someone and work for yourself and said paid bills? You save up. You also make sure you don't have a lot of bills. That's actually it's not easy starting a business, and I think I've covered this a couple times on the channel, but it's really the challenge really comes down to having a plan in place. And by the way, I hate my job is not a business plan, in case you're wondering. That's unfortunately a lot of people that fail at business. If you ask them why they started, well, I hated where I worked. I didn't really have a plan. I just didn't want to work there anymore. Sometimes the first thing you have to ask yourself is, do you want to work somewhere else? That may be the right answer. And if you decide that's not the right answer, then you want to start a business. There's a lot of planning. I leveraged everything I had to pay the bills. I reduced all of my bills, liquidated assets, liquidated the liquidity of my accounts to keep things afloat and just see if I could make it. I didn't really have a plan B because I don't come from parents that have money or anything like that. So my plan B was not living in a house anymore, I guess, if I couldn't pay the bills. So I just hustled at it. There wasn't really any easy way to do it right there. If you posted about a job, it's because I don't know what to say. We're not hiring at the moment, so I don't think I replied to that. Sometimes if I have no idea, like I actually will tell you right now, I don't reply to people who ask about help with their Windows antivirus because keeps crashing on them. I get random like general support stuff that's outside the scope of this channel that I don't talk about, so I don't often reply to that. Also, if you posted I'm looking for a job, unless we're hiring, I don't necessarily respond to posts like that. So sorry. Rise and grind. Yeah, that's definitely a thing. What do you eat to help you not sleep a lot? I don't know. I eat whatever. I'm mostly vegetarian. I try to eat like a healthier, more vegetable diet, but I eat randomly. Just before I sat down, I grabbed a big handful of pepperoni and stuffed them in my mouth and sat down here. So I don't have any. I would not advise. I don't think there's anything you could equate to where I'm at in life and any success I've had to any foods I've eaten. Don't draw that conclusion because I don't think it exists. That's just random data mashed together. That pressure keeps you motivated. When you don't have a plan B, yes. If you don't have a plan B, you do become very motivated because it becomes a very do or die type thing. I'm a firm believer in that because if you have this, well, I can always just go back to doing this. Or people who keep their day job. And by the way, I'm not telling you to quit your day job to pursue your dreams of starting a business. I don't sell it. I have nothing to sell you in that realm to recommend it. By the way, a lot of the people who do, before you take advice from someone, are they also trying to sell you a book or a coaching plan to go with their said advice? If there's money being exchanged, because the entrepreneurial business is huge. There's tons of people who will help you become a wantrepreneur, where you want to become an entrepreneur. They'll sell you books and strategy and how to do it. And a lot of it's a garbage because there's not a lot of it's not like there's one path to do it. There's this thing that people do where they assume the success of someone. They look at insert nameless successful person, they study their habits and go, those habits are why they're successful. And a lot of times they're just drawing conclusions off the data. There's actually a good book on this particular topic called Quirky, and they follow the habits of a lot of very successful people over time, but it's some of the quirky habits that they have. They do find some correlation data, but it's much more data driven than trying to equate like, oh, Tom gets up early, therefore the success he's had with things is because he wakes up at 4 a.m. It's not. I know people who sleep in that are, if you want to measure success by dollars and cents, they make a lot more money than me and they sleep more than me. That luck is one thing you have to do in the equation as well. Anyways, back to all kinds of topics, because we said business talk and studio upgrades. Do we work with Wisp? Sometimes. I guess it depends. So people have wanted to consult me on like starting a Wisp, and that's different. I'll help you with networking things, but people like, oh, what's the best billing system for a Wisp? No, I don't know the best billing system for a Wisp. So it's hard to say if we work with it. We work with networking. We don't help you design a business around a Wisp. So hopefully that helps. Let's see. What else do we have? Perfectly useful word to exchange with people so they don't have to ask questions twice. I don't understand that one. All right. Oh, did I create a mission statement? I don't remember. Not in the beginning, no. 2015 was when I actually redid some of the marketing. I think that's the last time my website's been redone. Is roughly, it's been graphically changed a bit, but the about page, this was written 2015-ish about us. So we don't really have like a regular mission statement though. Making tech human, I guess. I mean, well, I take that back. If you go here on the front page, we focus on technology so you can focus on your business. Technology, business solutions, cabling, security cameras, and much more from Lawrence Technologies. I guess that's a kind of a mission statement. I think people get really hung up on that stuff, and I've worked in business long enough that I don't think it matters as much. But yeah, I'm pretty sure we wrote that statement there specifically in 2015 or 2014. By the way, I was in business in 2003, so it took me 12 years to come up with a mission statement. But I did run a business for 12 years prior to having a mission statement, so I don't know if that helps or not. I don't think it's the most necessary thing. People can get really caught up on that. Let's see. What else do we have? What do I think on government institutions moving it to the cloud and being dependent on them? It's complicated. There's not an easy answer for that one at all. Because right now, there's a good article written a couple years ago because there's no way for them to move back to data centers. There's no data center capable of holding some of their data. So it becomes a very complicated topic of what is the best route. And there's no easy answer on that one either. People think it's like, oh, they shouldn't do that. They should just spend money on building their own data centers. But it's not like seeing government money spent on data centers is always necessarily a good investment either. I don't know the answer. It's very complex and it's not the realm that I work in. Let's see. Quick XCP-NG question. Sure. Had a pool master go down and had an SS change into master. Do I need to configure HA to make it automatic? HA is what offers automatic failover to them, yes. Yeah, I have a couple of videos where I cover how HA works. If you look up HA and XCP-NG, hopefully that... if you look up the HA video, I cover jumping in. I'm remembering all my videos. That's how everything's indexed in my head. I'm working on indexing on a website. But I do have one. I think it's called like Jump in the Pool, XCP-NG, how to do HA. I have the lackluster Dell cluster that I made with it. So I just took a few old Dells and shown how HA and failover works. But yeah, there's some trickiness you have to do to make sure which one is master of the pool. There's some settings that have to be gone through. Tesla sucked this week. Oh, did they take a dive? I didn't look at the stocks. My wife trades stocks. I don't. Not my thing. My wife is a fully licensed stock person now. She passed her licensing exams to do so. So she knows way more about it than me and has a piece of test paper that says she knows more than me about it, which is true. let's see. Lackluster Dell cluster. Yeah, that's what we called it in the video. It was kind of amusing. The whole issue with it was, trying to build it with some old hardware. And it kind of has me thinking, I want to do a few more videos like that. Someone has suggested this before, that I dive into a few videos of doing some comparative tests with them for the different, how to do the failover. It's actually changed not much. I think there's a few extra features you can do that are more advanced in the newer versions of XCP-ng. So yeah, I could do some more videos on that. I did have fun calling it the Lackluster Dell cluster. This rebooted and now runs the latest version. So that's cool. We're now on 2102 release P1. That was the hotfix for that. So yay. And this is the server I use for WireGuard. So this is still set up. So we have all the WireGuard settings in here. And this is the video I just did today, which now you know all the private keys. I uploaded the video. I didn't destroy the private keys yet. So if you can figure out how to copy these keys and get them in, and then figure out the IP address, and then bypass the filtering I have on the port, you technically could probably get into my home network, right? I better destroy those. Let's destroy them right now. Let's break it. Just in case, because I showed them. They're blurred out on the other one. So let me just turn off the VPN. Regenerate keys. Oh, I got it filtered. It only comes from one IP address, so you'd have to do it from inside my network. So I guess it's not a big deal. Oh, fun stuff. Is it filtered for my network? Yes, it is. Very cool. It's filtered for my network. Here, if anyone wants to know what that looks like. WAN address, filtered for LTS office as the source port. So if you're in my network and you can copy those settings, you can get to it. You have to also figure out what the IP address for tom.home is, because that's not publicly available either. So I have fun setting up all these lab videos. I need to do more of them, right? Cloud is just storage in someone else's data center. Sure is. How can it be cheaper than on-prem? See, this is where there's a constant myth of where it's just cheaper to have it on-prem. The on-prem, you have the cost of the hardware. And you're like, well, it's cheaper to have this hardware or this storage server sitting right here next to me than it is in the cloud. I mean, all they're doing is hosting the same thing over there. Then you have to factor in the skill it takes to maintain the hardware, which means you have to pay labor. And yes, you could save money, but it really comes down to, do you have enough people with the technical acumen to maintain all the equipment on-prem and pay the benefits and pay the healthcare and pay for everything that has an expense attached to it? Those are the calculations of why doesn't people, I mean, it costs more money to outsource the IT to me than just hire an IT person, right? Not necessarily, and not always. Having an internal IT person versus having an external IT company is the same reason I currently use an external accounting firm. It's not worth it right now for me to pay an internal accountant. There's a lot of factors that go into it. It's not the simple black and white decisions that people think it is of whether or not you want to run things. Now, with an accountant, when does Tom have an accountant? When the company has X size, we decide whether or not it's cheaper just to pay someone internally. And then we need redundancy, so you need a couple people, because there's a team of accountants at my accounting firm that handle my account. It's all just a balancing act, and the same thing goes with cloud or storage servers. There's a complicated equation you have to come up with of whether or not you should just run these yourself or it's cheaper to outsource them. Forums.lawrencesystems.com is actually better outsourced. The other tools that we use are better in-source, running in our own stack. So it's a balancing act. Oh, let's see. The perils of live stream. Yeah. It's all about scale. Do you use any virtual lab software? No, and I don't. A lot of people ask that. I just don't, because I I just build it all right here. Like I wanted to do, you know, Pfsense WireGuard, so I just build it right here. We also have our internal lab servers. So if we go over to, I'll pull this up on another screen. So like this is my XCP-ng and one of my lab servers that we have. And if I wanted to go and restore something to it, so I can go over here to restore. And what do we want? Let's find ourselves a pre-built Debian. Oh, look, there's one of my Debian 10 labs. Which version do I want? This one's only from February 12th, so we can select it. We want the February 12th version. Hey, let's send it right here. And in a few minutes, I'll have a new VM spun up. What if I wanted another, you know, Pfsense? Actually, I have one of those too. Here's a lab Pfsense at 217.556. This is another one I had built and set up. So I can log into this one. So any of the labs I want to build, I just build them internally instead of using software. That's because I have all this hardware to be able to do all of these things and run all of these machines as I see fit. So I can jump over to this one here, and here's that Pfsense and where it actually lives. Which, does it see an update patch? No, it's only for the Netgate hardware. Yeah, this didn't get an update. Pfsense 2.5 is still at 2.5, but the Netgate hardware got that patch that we loaded on the SG5100. But I can just spin up, I can create more networks, I can create more virtual machines, I can see where this one's at. Oh, this one's bigger than I thought. It's going to take a few minutes. I probably don't have the right connection speed. It's probably only at a 1 gig. I move cables around, and I know one of them's not connected at maybe the way it should be, but it's restoring. So either way, it'll get this done in a few minutes, and I'll have another server spun up and running over here. So that's why I don't really use the lab software. My lab is run on XCP-ng, and I just spin up things kind of as needed. Hopefully that makes sense. Humans are expensive. Yes, they are. Do you recommend Checkpoint? I've not really used them, so I have no opinion on Checkpoint Firewall. My friend used to manage them. He said they were okay. He was mixed on them. He didn't love them and didn't hate them. But it was his job to maintain them, so he did. Let's see. Yep. Yeah, it depends on your competency, whether or not you want to develop a competency in that particular thing. That's the outsourcing question. Let's see. What about the problems with USB and Thunderbolt docks? I don't use USB or Thunderbolt docks, so I don't know. Do you know any way to use Terraform with XCP-ng? Actually, that's a good question. Because if you Google it, you'll find they've got a whole write-up on using Terraform with it. They got a blog post. There's a bunch of development work going on here. Head over to their forums, and there's a discussion about Terraform and that. So yeah, there are ways to do it. I don't use Terraform, so I don't, like, it's not me, but it is something that is out there. I don't use it, but if you want to use it, it seems to be something, I know they're developing it and there's people using it. Hopefully that helps. Oh, let's see. What else do we have in here? Oh, what new studio upgrades did you do? Yes. Oh, before I get into studio upgrade, let me just see if there's any other network questions in here. Let's see. Have you used any of the layer 3 functionality UniFi Pro switches? I am not going to recommend anyone use the functionality of UniFi Pro layer 3 switches. It's not good. What does ARPless look like? Oh, is there an ARP problem with Pfsense? I don't know. I didn't know there was an ARP problem. Openvpn cloud solution? I don't understand that as a question. Openvpn, you can use it in the cloud. Ruckus, I have not really used Ruckus. Yeah, Mac Telecom Networks is right. UniFi Layer 3 is in alpha. Studio upgrades. Now, I went on an adventure of things, and you may or may not have noticed something about some of my latest videos. Specifically, let me refresh this page and we'll pull this up, that the videos are now in 4K. I did a bunch of messing around with everything to get this right. So now, we'll go here. I got too many tabs open. Close all those tabs. And this was recorded today, so I got the same shirt on. But anyways, this is the biggest upgrade you're going to notice is resolution upgrades. So I was not recording properly with OBS. I was having some trouble understanding exactly how OBS worked. Big shout out to Epos Fox, the streaming master who teaches you OBS like better than anyone ever. But with his OBS Studio guidance and all the videos I watched and tagged him in Twitter, and he tweeted me back something that seemed obvious as soon as he said it, which was I didn't understand why it was artifacting when I was doing things. And it's because some of my capture devices were USB 2. So I've now upgraded and bought new Elgato cards. So yeah, I revamped it. So now the video quality is that much better. And something else people have been asking for is that things get more zoomed in. And the artifacting was causing a problem with that. Now, instead of artifacting, you can see that the text, and this is only a 1080 screen I'm displaying this on, but all the text is nice and clean. It doesn't dither at the bottom with a bunch of motion JPEG artifacting. So the studio upgrades were a couple Elgatos and just a better workflow, which I'm going to do a dedicated video for the workflow. The only problem I have, and I looked up because this camera above, for some reason, and I'm still using one of the USB 2 ones on the overhead camera because I don't use it as often, that one doesn't like if the camera's on when I open up the live stream. So I have to disconnect and reconnect the USB if the camera's on because it sends some weird signal to it and it actually turns out the card. But once I get that solved, I'm going to do a studio video, kind of a tour for how I do things, which is still using the Stream Deck. That's kind of still my methodology for ingesting all the media. Let's see. Have you tried XEPNG GPN? Nope, haven't tried it. Why 4K? Because the text is crispier. Everything's actually ingested though. I produce it all, even though it's higher res on YouTube. It's still done at 1080, so we don't have the scaling and screen stretching problems. I've never tried to use a SIM slot for fallback on SG2100. Water Panther hard drives? Never heard of it. Do I still use Windows on a streaming PC? Yes. Streamlabs OBS does not work well with Linux and the Stream Deck. There are ways to try to make it work, but even Jay from Learn Linux TV, who knows Python, which someone wrote a Python module for this, he's using Windows because it works better. He said it was just too much. Oh, you have a controversial opinion. I shared that same opinion on a video called Why Not WireGuard? And yes, so. Yeah, the Stream Deck is great for being able to just switch between things. It's great. The, I don't know. I mean, I don't mind. This debate's been joking around between me, Craft Computing, and a couple others. Craft Computing was joking about it, but he's right. He's like, I'm being attacked on some of my Windows videos of why don't you use Linux? Why don't you use Linux? And I agree, you shouldn't argue with people about that and just tell them everything needs to be Linux. I prefer to use Linux, but if it doesn't work for what I want to do, just like it doesn't work for my customers, mostly what we manage is Windows. And I've had people, why don't you switch all your customers to Linux, Tom? I'm like, because it's not realistic and it won't get the work done. Do I think TrueNAS and ZFS is actually a good solution for VM storage for VDI and or VMs that require a lot of IOPS? Yes, I do. Think it's an absolutely amazing solution for VM storage. Yeah, Windows works better. I've certainly said this many times. Some applications Windows will work better for because the application was written for Windows. I can't afford to hire a development team to redevelop this product to work in Linux. Therefore, I will continue to use it in Windows. The annoying part is I've had a Windows update show up, and that's one of the reasons I always make sure I turn the studio computer on sooner than later in case it's off for a day or two and there's a Windows update that hangs it up. So, yes. Yeah, Windows, just some apps are built that way, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. I need more advanced customers. The 45 drives build is still waiting, and the biggest thing it's waiting on right now is I'm waiting for the new build of Ubuntu from them that has some things on it. So I've been playing around with it. I got the 10 gig card in it. I just didn't, I might, if they shipped it, I don't know how long it's going to take to get here. So I may load it up and do my own demos on it while I'm waiting for their software to arrive. So yeah. They still not got back to me. Oh, no. They have talked to me. I'm waiting on shipping. They shipped it, but they're in Canada. I'm here in the United States, and they use FedEx, and FedEx is a nightmare. FedEx sent me on an adventure a couple weeks ago. They delivered, I had to order some phones, and they delivered one phone to one business and another phone to another business. Both were addressed to me. So I completely think FedEx may have delivered my package somewhere else. And so we have to kind of sort that out. 45 Drives has been absolutely responsive. We're working together to do these videos because we want to use the new software they're doing. They just did an announcement release video the other day of their move to Ubuntu with their software. So I'm just waiting on them to give me the latest version because we want to do some new stuff that hasn't really been talked about by 45 Drives. It's absolutely, they've been responsive. They've been great to work with. I've had some wonderful conversations with them. My overall, I really have nothing but good things to say about them as a company. They've been actually a lot of fun to work with, and they also like Letterkenny. Google that. They're Canadian, so I expected that. I like Letterkenny as well. I'm looking for a VDSL modem. I don't use VDSL modems, so I can't help you. Y'all thinking about hiring someone for social media? This is the challenge I have with social media, and that's one of the reasons I threw that in here. So when it comes to, did I put social media? I just put web issues. They're kind of web issues. I thought, you know what? I thought I put social media, and I didn't. But yes, I did post about that. I'm trying to figure out if I should use more social media. See, none of my staff use social media. I'm the only social media person here. So it's not something I can delegate out because it's not something they really do. It's also not something that technical people usually do as well as marketing people. So I'm trying to decide if I should hire someone or hire a company is a more likely answer. To do more social stuff. Like I forgot, I have an Instagram. I posted something, got a bunch of people. Do you heart things on Instagram? You can tell I don't really use a lot of Instagram. But I don't really use much Instagram. Oh, I guess someone messaged me, so I'll actually reply to that. Cool. I just read a message from someone. Just to confirm, because I don't want to misspeak at all, the update for Pfsense is specifically for fixing some of those issues around that lockup problem with the SG3100. It's not a overall update to anything else. So just FYI. But anyways, back to the topic of should I handle Instagram myself, which I'm bad at it, and people like it because I posted that I have Instagram and a lot of followers came up, but that's it. And there's lots of cool pictures on it. This seems stupid, right? Showing you pictures of what's on Instagram. Wiring pictures is all I really follow on here. Hey, look, someone posting a picture about UniFi on Instagram. But that's the question, like, should I do more Instagram? Is there a benefit to it? And this is how you, from a business owner standpoint, I have to measure cost benefit. If I spend X dollars paying someone to do it, is there a value in return that comes from it? More engagement. If I had someone take clips of my videos and post them on Instagram as a lead-in to send more people to YouTube, is there a benefit for it? So I don't know, because I'm in a weird niche. There's not a lot of other people besides like the few other YouTubers out there, and they don't really seem to be doing it, with the exception of maybe Linus Media Group, which is a big team, but Linus is also is intact, but they're a little different than what I'm doing, because Linus Media Group is doing more consumer-facing products and not things like Pfsense. So in my niche, is there a value in me posting more on Instagram, or me paying someone to post more on Instagram? Because obviously I'm not going to do it that often. So it's kind of a challenge to figure that out. So that's kind of the big picture stuff on social media that I'm rolling around in my head. So the key is to ask Tom a question that he feels going in depth on. Usually, oh yeah, I pick and choose. I don't have a these live streams are, as anyone knows who follows me on them, I grab questions out of here, and yes, I try to run with it. So Instagram is only good for food pics. I would say that, except for it appears though people, I've seen some people with like 20 and 30,000 people following on Instagram that are posting wiring pics. Chris Tiffany has a lot of followers and videos. So yeah, structured cabling is definitely big on there. So I did start using LinkedIn more, and that's another one that's tricky, because LinkedIn is supposed to be you, but I don't have time always to engage with all the people on LinkedIn. But I'm starting to use it a little more. I'll just force myself to do it and post a few more things on LinkedIn. I do seem to get a decent engagement, and LinkedIn has been good for actually landing business work, where people say, hey, let me talk to you about some type of business thing. So that LinkedIn, at least I see some benefit for. Facebook/Instagram has been the one that I've kind of left lingering out there. I have a few thousand people who actually follow us on our Facebook page, but I don't really get leads from it. I try posting on it once in a while and it gets some comments, but I've debated about just blanking it all out as well, so I don't really have anything there. So I don't know what to do on that. You should just post MikroTik pictures on Instagram. There we go. Do I have one with full NVMe? No. When we have someone who wants something that's like a full NVMe build, we usually just reach out to TrueNAS IX Systems directly, because we're a reseller, and we have them spec it all out, because that becomes tricky. Watch Linus's video on how tricky it is setting up NVMe systems and trying to get the throughput that you want. One of the problems is there's limitations into things like SMB, where it can only transfer at X speed. So you also have to start thinking about protocols, how it's being streamed, whether or not it has the proper, is it UDMA? Oddly, Linus, speaking of Linus, did a video on that topic of how challenging it is, how some software and hardware combinations, it's not just the drive speed, it's not just the budget. There are some limitations to pushing it to that far when you want to use, especially like SMB. So it's not a build we usually do. We generally won't build that hardware. We'll have a company, 45 drives, or a company like IX Systems spec out a super high-end system like that, rather than just try to go and buy all the parts for it. especially those systems. I mean, you talk about a sale like that, you're talking, especially when you get up there, $100,000, $200,000 sale. You don't, I mean, it's cool to go build some of it at some point, but you also want to be, companies want guarantees and service level agreements. And that's why we outsource some of that to the engineers who build it over at IX Systems. So hopefully that answers the question in a long-winded way. ZFS is better than RAID 5 and RAID 10. Hopefully that. Oh, don't blank the Facebook. Yeah, maybe I should just I need to probably set up some automation that just auto posts there. The problem is I don't really want to respond to the comments over on Facebook on the page. And it feels like Facebook is where we get all the people who want free help. They message us on Facebook, hey, I have a quick question. And they seem to, some of them flat out get upset than if we tell them, like, that's something you can post in the forums and get maybe some free help, or you should hire us. And that's mostly what we get from Facebook. I've debated about whether or not there's any value in having the messaging turned on Facebook. I do follow, well, I don't follow them all the time. I learned a lot from the social media marketing podcast. Definitely great. And my biggest challenge is when you're a niche, you try to, it's harder to figure out which way to go. But I do really like that podcast. It's solid. If you want to have a deeper understanding of social media marketing podcast, absolutely a great listen. I've been a listener a long time. I don't listen to it as much anymore, but when I was doing more social media work, especially prior to YouTube, we did a lot of social media for clients, and that was actually one of the best podcasts for that. Very informative. He's really put together a great channel. What's your opinion on offering pen tests and vulnerability scans? If you know how to do it, it's a good thing to do. We outsource that over to Xavier. His company does it. So yes, it's a good thing to offer. It's solid as long as you have the competency to do it. Facebook equals Karen tech support. That does happen. Putting all the comments in one place to respond centrally. That could be interesting. What's the best advice you can say to someone who wants to start their own IT company? I would probably say don't is the first answer. And like I said earlier in the podcast, I hate my job is not a business plan. Make sure you have a solid plan. Make sure you have a marketing plan. You actually find, and unfortunately, you'll find some people who run companies that were based more on marketing than their technical skill. There's kind of a misconception that, oh, I'm really good at technical things, therefore I'm going to start an IT company, and they realize getting the customers is really the hard part of it, more so than doing it. So much of our work is less technical and more the marketing side of it to get customers. It's the nature of it. So make sure you have a marketing plan, would be my solid advice. And marketing plans, I don't know how to do them after the events of 2020 following into 2021. They are very different when what I said. So when I tell you go to all those in-person meetings and everything, when they don't exist, I don't really have a solution. That's how we built a lot of our business, was a lot of in-person type meetings. Marketing's changed a lot because it's almost all cold calling online and setting up Zoom calls. But then again, maybe it's easier because you can set up Zoom calls. You can actually do more than you could before because getting in front of people doesn't require driving to them like it used to. I do like that. Let me speak to your device manager now. Let's see. X520GA2, eBay. You get lots of them on eBay. They're cheap. You can buy them like new in the box on eBay for like $70. I just bought a couple off eBay because easy to get them. Oh yeah. 264 people watching and only 40 likes. Let's get those numbers up. Here, I'll show the likes in real time. Look at that. 43 likes. How do you set up DDNS on a WAN Carp interface? You don't. You can't do HA Carp interface with a dynamic IP. It has to be statically set. We actually have someone who reached out to us that wants some help with that. It's kind of a weird thing because people, they want to set things up in sometimes unsupported ways, and those, because this relates back to the question someone else asked. Someone said, what's a weird customer request? Sometimes those, I've had people tell me they want things set up in a very unsupported, like, hacky manner might be the way to say it. Like, it's not the way the product was designed to work, so it doesn't work well when you set it up that way. And sometimes we get people that reach out to us that want to set up in a really weird way. And sometimes the hard part is responding to them going, well, this just doesn't make sense, you know. And I'm not, those become really kind of, I don't know that they're absurd or hard. They're weird customer projects, and we don't know. Sometimes we just turn them down because if we built it, it's like trying to build a whole house of cards and like, all right, just don't sneeze, don't wiggle the table, don't do anything. It may fall. And I don't like ever leaving a project like that. Just because someone paid me to do it, it doesn't make it. I mean, I almost want to like have those people sign like, this is a terrible idea, but you will give me money to do it. All right, sign here, right? You just make sure you read that sentence out loud. All right, we'll document it. You've agreed and I've agreed this is a terrible idea, but it's your money and I'm not here to tell you not to do terrible things with your money or pursue terrible ideas and configurations. Oh, we definitely tell people it's an unsupported configuration, which always prompts a forum post of a link to Reddit to where someone got it working. And yeah, that's what we don't even do any of the UniFi JSON config file ones. Those are among the ones that pop up all the time. Hey, can you customize my system in this unusual manner that this person in a forum posted? And no, I'd much prefer not to do that. That's not good at all. Starting a business is very risky. Not someone that wants to do tech. Business, you have to know all the stuff you probably hate. I'm a reluctant business owner myself. I didn't find the right place to work, and it was harder when I started my business to find places to work in tech. And after the company I worked for, I had a bunch of issues. I turned them into my first customer. That way I wasn't directly controlled by them. I kind of see some opportunity. Honestly, if I would have worked for a company that everything just went really well, I probably wouldn't have started a business. But I was always online, and I've been a tech enthusiast for 20-something years. It doesn't mean I wouldn't be doing some of the YouTube things I'm doing now. And, you know, it's funny talking to some of the other friends who've transitioned out of jobs into like full-time content creation, like craft computing. You know, he left his day job working in tech. So there's different methodologies. I mean, technically, he's now pursuing entrepreneurship on the side of content creation, which I think is awesome. And I don't know, there's a lot of different ways and paths to follow and things like that. It's not necessarily, though, that you just need to own the business, because there's a lot of things that suck about owning a business, and that you are forced to manage and forced to deal with. And there's papers on my desk that I don't really want to deal with that disrupt me from doing the things I want to do. And trying to find the business manager to manage that is not easy either. That's something that I've always looked for. Like, how can I find a business manager that will go, hey, see all this paperwork? Something's wrong with the insurance company today. The IRS just let me know that I owe them $6,000. By the way, the IRS also mailed me a check for $6,000 that they didn't know where to apply. I think these problems are related. They were. These are dumb things that you have to deal with as a business owner, that you go, why did you mail me a check for $6,000 and then say, oh, $6,000? Can you apply this check? Oh no, that's the department's got their things crisscrossed. So there's all kinds of fun things you deal with as a business owner that are completely not tech related, that you're like, why am I dealing with this? Oh, fun stuff. Drinking vodka, not at work. XCPG versus Proxmox. Yes, I've done a couple of videos on that topic. Whichever one makes you happy. I think that XCPNG scales better than Proxmox. Fight me. Fight me in the comments. Jay from Learn Linux TV thinks so too. He's talking about switching, but he's done a bunch of Proxmox videos. They're both good hypervisors. There's not anything particularly wrong with either one of them. I don't think like I said, Proxmox is good. So, studio upgrades, I mentioned earlier, it's the moving things to 4K and the upgraded capture card. So I covered that earlier in the live stream. I am going to do a dedicated video on that particular topic. $6,000 is a lot. Sure, it is, but it's all about perspective on that. I mean, it is a lot of money. I'm not denying it's not a lot of money, but it's just like part of what you have to give in taxes. Taxes are one of those fun things as a business owner. The bigger your company get, the more complicated they seem to get. And that's why you pay an outside accountant and they take care of it. And sometimes that incurs more expenses because if it's one of those things like we pay an accountant does things right, but when the government screws up, someone has to then deal with it, and you're either doing it yourself or you're paying your accountant again. It's just fun stuff that you get to do. Why not VMware? Why would I use VMware? I prefer to use XCPNG. That's my favorite hypervisor. We have customers using VMware. If you like VMware, awesome, use it. I prefer the open source hypervisor, XCPNG. I've heard Proxmox finally had a backup server. Now, XCPNG has had backups for a long time, and Proxmox is catching up to that feature, which also means maybe I should do a new video called Proxmox versus XCPNG, because they've now added features in Proxmox that make that video technically inaccurate because you're dealing with what Proxmox has now in 2021 versus I did the video like in 2019. So neat that they have it. If you type in CentOS XCPNG, they have information on that. They did a write-up on it. Yeah, VMware's not cheap for if you want all the bells, whistles, and features with VMware. You want the advanced version. I don't care for Hyper-V. We've moved people off of that because of some of the quirkiness with that. And it runs on Windows, so I don't have any interest in it. If you want to run it, go ahead. I have no interest in running Hyper-V. So, yes, in the end, the consulting job I did, and he might be on the live stream now, hey, they're using VMware. They like VMware. It works for them. I consulted on TrueNAS and some design for the storage and a few other things. They used VMware. That's perfectly fine. I mean, we consult with people all the time that are using VMware and they're using TrueNAS, and we'll help them with their TrueNAS issues, or sometimes, help them get things set up and configured, etc. Use whatever works for you. Use whatever you have licenses for. Some people already bought, ahead of time long-term license agreements, so they're not planning on switching. They have all their infrastructure in there. They're very familiar with it, which is huge, because handing someone a product that you think is better, but they're less familiar with it, incurs a cost. That cost could be misconfigured servers, downtime, or just the time it takes to get them up to date on using that, which may be more expense. There's an efficiency lost on that you have to account for, because earlier in the comments, someone said something that's very accurate. Humans are expensive. It costs expensive to train the humans, to hire the humans, to keep the humans around, and to keep the humans healthy. All has costs with it. So, you have to consider all of the factors. These are the business things you get to think about and the less technical side of things when you're a business owner versus when you're starting out a technical company and you just get to pick the products because they're the products you like, because there's only you. When there's a bunch of people you have to manage, you would then have to take more things into consideration to build that team around it. Is it possible to run a Windows 10 or Windows Server VM on XCPNG? What does this look like with Microsoft licensing? I am not a Microsoft licensing expert, and I'll never pretend to be, but you can run Windows on XCPNG, and it runs fine. We have clients that are definitely running it. This is our Windows 10 lab running inside of there and doing its thing. Because we load and destroy these servers so frequently that, yes, it does say activate. We don't activate it. We load it. It's just under the trial. And by the time, these are just labs. They get destroyed and rebuilt whenever. So they're not really anything there that I have to do with licensing. But it works perfectly fine, for those wondering. This is actually sitting behind our virtual Pfsense. So kind of that topic that was on earlier, how this says Studio 100. If we go into here, and we look at the, where is it going to be? The DHCP server probably is easy enough. Hey, look, there's that computer, 40.41, 40.141. So that actually is behind this. We're able to spin up virtual instances of everything, including Windows, and then put them behind virtual Pfsenses, all on networks inside of XCP-ng. So the reasons I like it so much, because it's dynamic. Because what if I didn't want it on this network? What if we wanted to change network? What do we got to do? Let's just, I don't know, plug it into, that network. It'll take a second. Hey, look, already got a new IP address from a different network, and now this is on a different segment of my network. We can just press button, change network, spin up more virtual networks and interfaces. And by the way, these don't even run on the same server. This lab server is a XCP-ng lab Dell, and the other one's a Dell R630 server for some of the other lab stuff. But yeah, anyways, I got way off topic. Yes, I still use Invoice Ninja. I had tweeted about the other day that I have 23,000 invoices in there, something like that. What else do we have here? Yeah, training is a big, I don't know about hidden cost. It's an overlooked cost. It's certainly not hidden. Training is expensive. Overt as a hypervisor. Nope, too tedious. Don't feel like it doesn't. I didn't see an interface that I liked for it, and it looks like a novel project, but not something I'm interested in. Thoughts on Invoice Ninja not being so open source? As far as I know, it's open source, so I don't understand that as a question. I'm aware of Ansible. There are 2 Ansible videos you can find on my channel, but I don't use it extensively at my job. So that's the Ansible. Are you also running XCP-ng for on-prem? Yes. All my XCP-ng servers are on-prem. You can't redistribute. Well, that's a different, redistribution license is different than open source. It's not that you can't get the code not being open source. It's how they redistribute. They have a business model of selling the hosting for it. So they don't necessarily want you to build a business model of selling the hosting for it. That'd be my guess. I have not read through every little detail. We give them money on the project to, for the premium version that we host ourselves. So yeah, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense, but I never dug through every piece of the license. Yes, Learn Linux TV, Jay, he does have a extensive series on Ansible, Python, and a couple other topics. He does use all those tools way more than me, so he's much better at them. How is XCP-ng with disaster recovery? I think it's great at disaster recovery. I have a couple videos on how to do XCP-ng disaster recovery. So I actually have a whole video where I dive right into that. You want to provide it to a business buddy. So, I mean, you can just download it and host it. They don't, I mean, are you trying to sell it to your business buddies, or are you trying to host it? I mean, you can host it in cPanel. It's not hard to host it. I think they don't want, I don't know. I'm not going to speak for them. Go read the license. I'm not a license expert. Matter of fact, email them. They actually are very responsive people over at Invoice Ninja. the people that are working on a project are great. So I don't know the nuances of license, and I'm not going to speak to it because I don't know. I cannot recommend a ticket system because we're still evaluating ticket systems. How's that? I don't have an answer for a ticket system. Out of scope because I don't know. Oh, let's see. What else was I going to cover in here? Oh, website issues. So we are slowly working on upgrading our website to faster speeds. A couple people may or may not have noticed a few of our stuff is broken. So the things that are broken right now will hopefully be fixed within the next several days. We're slowly and but surely working our way out of the hosting business. We used to be a lot more into hosting websites. We're down to a few of them that keep giving us money, so we keep hosting it, but we want to get to zero on the hosting. It's just one thing that we're not that into anymore. We kind of farmed out all of that work to another company called MI Digital Solutions that we've been working with. So that's in between. It's things like this. When WordPress broke our website, it becomes one more thing that we maintain sparingly. So it becomes a time suck without a lot of money in. So I just thought I'd bring it up. A couple people that messaged me that, hey, Tom, did you know your website's got a few errors on it and some of the blog posts? Yes, we're working to resolve those. And but the non-website issue that I did want to talk about is this. I don't think I brought it up before because there wasn't a lot on there. It's me consolidating all these tutorials, and slowly but surely this is happening. So here are the Zen Orchestra. We only have 2 of them on here right now, but the goal is this is going to be a site, and I think I have a lot more in Pfsense. This is going to be the site that has the latest version of any video. So I do have more than one video, for example, on how to set up Openvpn, because they're for different versions of Pfsense. So this is going to be the latest version of any of those videos will be on this website. And we're making it like really simple. Like it'll always be lawrence.technology/Pfsense. That's for all the latest tutorials and any of them that are newer. So right now, this is getting started with Pfsense 2.4 tutorial. I got to do one on 2.5, so I will replace this one with the 2.5 version. The other ones are always going to live on YouTube like they have, but these are where we plan to start consolidating. Same with TrueNAS. As we start building all the new TrueNAS tutorials, there are old ones and then there are new ones. Now, because the name changed, the new ones are easier to find because they're called TrueNAS, not FreeNAS. But nonetheless, we're going to start keeping organized so you can find all of the videos instead of relying on YouTube's search to hopefully properly find them, which sometimes I've realized it doesn't, and I don't know why. It does a decent job, but this isn't even, to me, a better way. When someone says, hey, where's the other tutorials on this? I can just drop this link, and this is where all the latest ones will always live. So this has been a project. It's slow, but coming along, and the goal is to keep the site this clean all the time. The only thing here is documentation. We're not doing anything else here. That's actually the goal, is to keep it that way. We're not sticking any plugins on the side or anything else. It's just clean list of different videos, and we're putting them on there. So like how to handle XCP-ng and VLANs, how to set up HA proxy. We have a blog post that's going to be like when the videos get posted, and then they're going to get consolidated over here like this for your viewing pleasure. So hopefully that makes sense too. So time suck. Oh, lots of things are time suck. Stop moving the mouse. Nah. You gotta keep moving that mouse. Yeah, we're trying to be careful how we put it together so it stays organized. I don't want it to turn into a junk pile at all. So will I address the issue? Here's the problem with the issue when it comes to Unbound DNS Resolver. Even I've seen Netgate, I've seen the post on it. They have acknowledged that people are seeing it. Last I checked, and this could be different than now, I am not seeing it, and not everyone is. So the challenge is to figure out what is the scenario that's causing it. It's not for me to address. They're addressing it by bringing it up. I have to reproduce it in order to offer help. At the moment, none of the systems I've upgraded are doing it, so I'm not able to reproduce the problem, so I'm not able to troubleshoot it, because if the problem doesn't occur. Now, I'm also not the person who writes Pfsense. That's the team at Netgate. They're better at editing code. I'm actually really terrible at editing code. There's a good reason I don't do that. So there's plenty of posts. I believe there's a ticket open. I think they're still asking, last I checked, and it's been several days, they're still asking for people to tell them the edge cases that are doing it. This is the challenge of any software problem, is gathering the data to make it a reproducible problem. When it doesn't occur for other people, then it becomes a real challenge to get it to actually solve the problem. Like, I know people are seeing it. I'm not denying the existence. It's just, yeah, it's a matter of figuring out how to reproduce it. So I don't really want to do a video on it because I don't know what value it would bring, because I certainly can't solve it, because if I can't produce the problem, I can't start testing things to fix the problem. That's kind of where I'm at with that. I mean, I do want to help. I just don't know how to be helpful. Are we seeing more on-site jobs or remote? So most of the work we do, that we book from YouTube, I should say, the YouTube bookings come in, those are all remote work. That's how we do it. We do work around the world from YouTube. That's our YouTube leads. I actually have a whole video on how the lead generation works. Right now I have 3 technicians doing on-site work today. So we also have on-site work we do, but that's all from pretty much existing relationships we have with customers and work that sometimes is sent to us via other partnerships we have with other tech companies that may farm work out to us. We do quotes sometimes by other MSPs who don't want to do a specific aspect, and they'll farm that work out to us. So it's a mix. The YouTube stuff is pretty much remote because people are so far away from us, but the local work still is occurring, and it's kind of a mix. I really like doing remote work better than on-site work. Myself, I don't like leaving the building. I don't leave the building too often. I go to meetings occasionally, but for the most part, it's harder to get Tom out of the building. I like sitting behind a keyboard. Have you ever dealt with a client that tried to mandate elaborate change management of process documentation? How do you deal with that other than, I don't know, you just try to speak rationally with people. Try to figure out what their problem is. The challenge can be, and I didn't like the term, but it was what we used in corporate 20 years ago, the 5 whys. You ask the whys until you get to the root cause of the problem. A bunch of corporate speak for just try to get to why they want to change it. What is the pain point that caused you to think that you need to redo your documentation? Because sometimes there's a fork in that path that led them down there that wasn't the right one. So you kind of got to really think of it from a business standpoint and understand, how have we explored other options to solve this problem? And it's not like there's a answer for it, because you have to ask that question and figure out what their answer is and figure out how to, talk them into doing it in a more rational manner. Is it possible to use Ceph and Gluster as a storage direct CPNG? They're working on it. I think it's in beta. Let me look up Gluster XCP-NG. Pretty sure it's in beta right now. I remember that they had a blog post on it. File-based, block-based. They support Ceph, iSCSI Gateway as a shared storage. So, and Gluster FS. So yeah, they actually have file-based both. So yeah, I don't use it, but they do have it. So if you're looking at setting up something with that type of option, they also support multipath IO with iSCSI as well. So if you want to do multipath IO. I don't know if there's probably a write-up in here. But if you go through all the storage types, there's actually a lot of support for it. So here's some of their Gluster stuff. But yes, they got abilities. And they have instructions on how to set each one of them up. Neat. I don't use them, so I haven't really tested those particular things, but they got pretty extensive support for things. Their documentation is also pretty solid. They've even used some of my videos for their documentation, which I really thank them for. Great team over there. Oh, Netgate's in here. Oh, neat. Although not a part of Pfsense 2.5, updated version of Unbound is available in the package repository and should resolve the issues we're seeing. That's awesome. Now that's worth doing a video on right there. So for those of you not noticing this in the chat, because I can see it now, I don't know how to really make this any bigger. Let me pop this. Oh, not wrong button. But anyways, yes, that's a good statement right there from Netgate. Where did it go? Oh, catching up with comments here. It's so small, I should probably enlarge this some ways. Anyways, back before we get off topic again. Top chat. Nope, I want all chat. There we go. Simon, thanks for all the excellent Greylog videos. More, please. Inspired to build my own Ubuntu. Great content. Thank you very much, Simon. Much appreciated. I'm going to put this pop-out chat. This doesn't help me at all to read this. There we go. All right. New video from Warren Systems. How do I update via the package manager? Let's try that on the live stream while we're doing this. Why not? So, let's see. Hey, that is awesome. I like that Netgate's posting in there, so that's great. Have we started pushing out to clients? Slowly, not many. We were holding off a little bit because so many customers have that SG3100. We've sold a lot of those, a lot. And they're just like a great small business one. So we were a little, we seen the problems, and we created a problem with our one of them. They had a workaround of disabling a processor, but we rolled it back, and now we're happy because we can roll it forward because that releases today. So probably after that release they had that solves that problem, yes, we're going to start pushing it out. So how often do you update your hypervisors, Linux? As needed. Hey, it's Xavier. Xavier can tell you all about pen testing. When he pokes his head above water sometimes, he shows up in live streams. So yes, I should do a video on how to package update. So tech support on hand. I love all these people being in live stream. That's great that Netgate joined in. I'm excited. Yeah, you can't post links in a live chat. YouTube has restriction on that. What's my Linux distro of choice for Linux server? Debian. That's just the one I'm most familiar with. I don't have a better reason to tell you why I use Debian. Yeah, Xavier, Navy SEAL style, for sure. So good to hear, Garrett, that you've pushed about 25% of them out with only one OpenVPN issue. I've seen a few people mention this in forum posts that just rebuilding the OpenVPN fixed issues. I think someone had mentioned that actually said it properly, and I didn't bookmark this, but I remember reading someone said they had extra parameters that they were passing in OpenVPN that are maybe deprecated now in 2.5 that were causing the problems. Read through the forum posts over at Netgate. They're very helpful. Occasionally you'll find some good posts on Reddit as well for people who actually solved some of the issues. Someone on Reddit helped me solve me doing something stupid on WireGuard that I spent way too long staring at when I was the one doing it wrong. By the way, I did a WireGuard Pfsense video about how to do site to site, so... What netgate hardware to use for production? All over the place. Whatever fits the bill. Currently, 5100 is actually what runs my company. This is the one in our lab, obviously, but the 5100 has been the one we're using here at the office, and it's been solid. It works great. Ooh, I see someone asking Netgate, how do you set up dynamic DNS on a WAN Carp interface in Pfsense when running high availability? To my knowledge, you do not. And I mean, I'll answer for them because their own documentation says you have to have statically assigned IP addresses for that to work. So I don't, I mean, if they have a better response, awesome. My guess is that's how they're going to respond. So. The Lab SG 5100, also our backup 5100. This is true. I normally would probably want to, Netgate confirmed. Don't do that. That's one of those unsupported configurations. You'll find some punny in a forum post who kind of hacky did it. I wouldn't want to run my company on a very unsupported thing like that. So obviously, if you're asking about HA and Carp, you probably want a really solid system. So building it on a shaky, unsupported methodology is probably not going to reach the goal of having a stable system. How to configure Openvpn on double NAT network? If both networks NAT and you can't forward the ports, you're not going to configure Openvpn. You do need, now with WireGuard or Openvpn, you need to be able to get to it. I say public IP because that's going to be the best, but you need to be able to get to either through port forwarding or having a public IP one end of the VPN. This is true for WireGuard and this is true for Openvpn. If you cannot get to both of them because you have two devices both behind NAT, then there's not really, don't have a double NAT network is kind of the only answer for that. The other option is to find some intermediary in between by doing things like, there's actually it's called ngrok, NGROK. Public URLs for testing. I've never tried ngrok with something like Openvpn. I don't know if it'll work or not, but ngrok is a way to bridge things into a public cloud so that you can be accessible when they're behind a NAT. I mean, there's like methodologies for handling it, but they're not as easy as just getting access to a directly to those servers. But then again, maybe it's not easy to get directly access to those servers because the situation you're in says, look, I'm behind NAT. That's just the way it's going to be. And but ngrok.com, ngrok.com is a service that bridges things that are behind firewalls to public IP space. I don't really know how extensive it is. I've never used it. I only found out about ngrok because I'd seen a couple people mention it in videos when they wanted to do some testing without public IP space, but have public URLs. And also it was used to exfiltrate some data. So reading a differ report for a debrief for a cybersecurity hack, they use ngrok to exfil all the data, which was also interesting. Let's see. Fire up AWS. Yes. AWS, public cloud servers, DigitalOcean, those type of things are, Linode, whatever makes you happy. Those are things that are helpful when it comes to things like that. Yeah, useful and scary. That's all the great tools. Yes, Pfsense Plus is coming out later this year to run on your own hardware, so that's going to be a thing as well. We do not have a full PSA. It's on our to-do list, not on our done list. We use Invoice Ninja for all the automation and billing. One day we'll get there. We use SolarWinds for everything else. What else do we have in here? We're winding this down because it's 6:30. A few more questions. May as well ask some Pfsense ones because we got Netgate responding in here. SolarWinds MSP Manager. We've looked at it and didn't really get into it much. I got to go back on it. Any opinion on Slack Nebula? I did a video on it. I got my whole opinion on there. I have a public /29 over PPOA. Is it possible to assign public IP addresses to route via Pfsense without NAT? Why would you want to not have NAT? I guess that's the other question. Hey, congratulations, David G, on getting some land and building your house that'll be wired up with fancy fast cable, right? Congratulations on that. Yes, it's 6:24 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's my there. Let's see. Oh yes, donations. Netgate does. They have a donation page that says donate to the BSD Foundation. That's how Netgate. You don't donate to Netgate directly; they're the business, but they do want donations given to upstream projects like BSD. See. People run a lot of things on Pfsense, for sure. What's the easiest way to detect IP conflicts? Had a client set up a printer and IP and default route for subnet. Fun one. Locking down ports and things like that. I mean, if you have the firewall or hardware that switches and things like that that can lock down ports, so other IPs like IP learning and things like that, that can help stop that kind of thing. But it is kind of, it's a pain when people do that. And it's even more of a pain when people do weird things like add another switch that they didn't tell you they added to add a couple more things and then start assigning IP addresses to it. And that's a billable action for sure. Ooh, stay tuned. More hardware coming. That's exciting. More new hardware from the folks over at Netgate. What do I think of the UniFi Flex Mini? I think that's this. This device. UniFi Flex Mini. These are great. I recommend these. I think I've reviewed them before. We definitely like them. They're a great little thing to have in the lab. UniFi U Lite, I have not. 10 gig in every room. That's the way to build it when you're doing a new house. 10 gig in every room. Hey, Brett Chittum. Brett Chittum should, come hang out sometime. Yeah, we've got a few of these around the office. They're in some of the other rooms too, because they're just really handy to have. No, you don't run fiber all over your house. Well, David G might run fiber in a house, but generally speaking, just go for some Cat 6 and you're fine. You don't need fiber all through the house. It's kind of, fiber through the house is less manageable because it could just be problematic because getting the ends on it and finding the cards to support it versus standard, RJ45s. So yeah, no use case for fiber. So David G's, yeah. I thought about doing a video of, do I need fiber in my house? Because most people, there's not really a good answer for it. Do I know if there's any more 10G switches coming from Ubiquiti? Nah, I don't know. I haven't looked in their early release store, but they have a couple of them. I don't know if they're going to come up with any more or not. I don't know what the demand is on it. And the fiber, it's terminating fiber that's tricky. I know fiber is not that expensive, and once you have the right kit to terminate it, it's not that expensive, but it's easier to snap a cable end on and get it to exact length and then plug a patch cable into a wall plate. This is just simpler than dealing with fiber, and it's much more durable, because if I break this patch cable, I can just grab another patch cable and patch it into the wall. This is why even my new house, I did not run fiber. I still have patch cables, because putting wall plates, wall fish, patch cable, it's easier. I don't think there's any reason to have a stacking UniFi switch. I don't really see that as their market. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's a few different ways to terminate the fiber. I'm not particularly good at it. It's not what I do. That's not we outsource large fiber runs, or we get pre-made fiber. Fiber modem, and modem is managed by ISP. Yeah, that happens. Just use quantum entanglement NICs. That's when we're really getting it. Once we have network cards that just offer quantum entanglement. So you'll buy, this is how the future is going to be. We're going to get 2 network cards. They're going to pair them up pre-quantum entangled, so we can get data from here to anywhere else. And we don't even need a VPN at that point. Once they figure out quantum entanglement, VPNs are done for. I think that's how that goes, right? Do white box switching with Cumulus, Linux, ONL, or Sonic? I think there's a video recently done by Serve the Home, or at least a write-up on Sonic and some of the really high-end switches that run that. So yeah, PIA String Edition. String theory on it. Oh, let's see. Yeah, well, there's a new problem. Quantum entanglement, and you lose a server in a wormhole. It's new technology is gonna. It's interesting to look. So if you go on AT&T's website, or not, YouTube, they have the archives of old phone systems and how they worked. It's kind of cool to look at all that. And it's really not in a time frame of human history that long ago that this system was, that you're looking at in these black and white videos, was the most advanced telephone switching system. Then they have videos when they went to a switched network, which is more, network style like this. There's cool progress you can watch through history. And it's even wild thinking, when I started 20 plus years ago, these drives, well, even this one, I don't know the year on this drive, how this was so advanced, and I'm holding a really expensive piece of hardware. This is a Seagate Barracuda SCSI drive, and it barely holds any data compared to today. So when this stuff looks archaic, it's going to be fascinating. It may only be like 5-10 years from now that this stuff will start looking archaic. The arc of technology is absolutely fascinating, how fast it goes and ramps up. Is there anything else people have for the end of the video here? Nortel. Oh, yeah. Nortel, well, phone systems last a long time. Quantum Leap. Oh, is YouTube breaking? Watch the Sonic. Bash the like button before we leave. Let's at least do that. So we have about 250 people on here and 128 likes. Some of you may be bots. Bash the like button to prove you're not a bot. Or maybe we can get the bots to do it. ShoreTel VoIP. I've seen them before. I haven't seen a ShoreTel in a while. Good coffee. I don't know. I like I like Big B Coffee. They're close to me. I don't know if Big B Coffee is close to you. I don't know how big they are. I think they started here in Michigan, so I don't know that they're much out of the region. Starbucks is good coffee, though, too. Good home audio systems. I have Klipsch with a, what do you call it? I think I have a picture of it. Klipsch with a Pioneer Elite system is what I have at my house. But I'm not an audio expert at all. Let's see. I thought I took a picture recently. Somewhere I have a photo. I take too many pictures and it becomes hard to sort out all the pictures. Well, somewhere I had a photo of my living room set up. Oh, there it is. Seems like maybe. No, that's not it. There it is. This is when there was a hole in the wall before we patched it. That's the setup that I have right now at my house. So with the Klipsch speakers, we have since patched the hole in the wall. That's not there anymore. Let's see. First time I managed to catch a live stream and Netgate comes on. Yes. If they get 175 likes, Netgate will be back next week. Oh, we're almost there. We're at 160. Careful what you wish for. You may have to come on the live stream more often. I don't run antivirus on Linux desktops. Awesome. Let's see. Oh, thank you for the channel. Thank you. 162. We're at 164. I'm winding down. Let's just see how many likes we can get before so I have to leave. I have a couple things I got to go do. I got some people to reply to in forums. And probably see comments on my new Pfsense video. So thank you everyone who joined. Oh yeah, there's a Pfsense update and a TrueNAS update. So go update your stuff. That's my advice. Go get everything up to date. Oh, it looks like the live stream's cutting out anyways. So is it cutting out? Or did it work? I can't tell. I can refresh the page. When I look at it this way, I see the same problems you do. There it goes. Looks like it's working. Delay. What's for dinner? I don't know. That's what I need to figure out because I am really hungry. No, I don't manage Chromebooks. So thank you for watching. We're at 176 now. 176. So Netgate has to show up again. I'll make sure I tag them in the live stream, see if they're going to show up next week. Maybe we'll message and figure out if they're actually want to come on here and we'll talk about Pfsense and all that stuff. Because it's a great topic. And I'm sure by then maybe I'll have some more videos. There's a minor update on Pfsense. So it's all minor updates right now. All right, well, thanks for watching. Thank you, everyone, all 177 of you who clicked the like button, the 239 of you who are here now, and earlier there was more of you. I know some of you less, some of you came back. So thanks again. Awesome. Talk to all you later.